and welcome to We Got a podcast normally about Dragon Ball. From Earth to Jirai to Geminar, we're going to cover it all. My name is Randy.
My name's Doug.
And I'm not a woman with loose morals. Ken.
That's perfect. We're the world's strongest under the heavens, Chosen here every other week to dive deep into all things alien girls, spaceships, and laser swords. We've come to the end of the first OVA series, and we're on to a sort of special episode, and what better way to celebrate a special episode than have a special episode of our own with a special guest. We've got Lance, a.k.a. MistareFusion, Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, Power Rangers YouTuber extraordinaire. Welcome back, Lance. Nice to have you here.
Thank you. And my morals aren't loose, but they could use some tightening.
Maybe we all could, especially after watching this episode. It's
especially after this.
So we're here, of course, on our bonus series talking about Tenchi Muyo, and here we are at the end of OVA 1 with episode 7, and we're gonna kind of just jump into it here. But again, I wanted to bring up we're thinking doing live-ish episodes in the future because, man, editing regular episodes on top of bonus episodes, it's murder. Ken, I'm so sorry for everything you've gone through. I should get you a present at the end of this, maybe some whiskey or something, a coffee, whatever it is that you're drinking there.
I've gotten a lot faster at editing, so it hasn't been as bad. Every edit's been easier than the last.
Hey, yeah, see? You're getting your skills sharpened every time.
Still a lot of manpower, though, so I think it'd be, especially for bonus episodes, you know?
True, exactly. And this way it'll be quick and breezy, and we'll have a real good time just shooting the shoot about Tenchi and, continuing doing OVA 2. But, there's a question of what do we do in between 1 and 2? Well, first, Ken, we're taking a break, right?
Yeah, just personal stuff. We're going to have to take a break. So
recharge the batteries.
Exactly. So normally we have our regular episode and then the bonus one. And then a regular episode. We're taking, is it a 1 week break of bonus? So that way we'll have just a little gap one Wednesday with
6. We can talk about the why of it later, but yeah.
Okay, we'll figure that out. But also, what we're doing after that break. So the logical thing, I suppose, is like, well, you just go on and you do episode 8, the start of OVA 2. But you know what? The Mihoshi special actually came out in between episodes 7 and 8. And Ken, for some reason, you've included to ask the question, Tenchi, Daughter of Darkness, movie 2.
Yeah.
For this.
We've been over this. It's in continuity with the first OVA and
it's
not the
continuity
second.
Here we go.
Continuity with the Hasegawa light novels, which have nothing to do with any of this.
But those are in continuity with the first OVA. So
I just want to watch anime. I don't care.
Now, I'm not saying that
Is it more that they're an offshoot? They're an offshoot of the OVA content, like a branch.
Yeah,
but it doesn't work the other way around. It's a one-way street, right?
Right, which is why we have to watch it now.
It's a good movie, though. From what I remember, I enjoyed it. I haven't seen it in a very long time.
I tend to watch it around Christmas because I think it's a Christmas movie. But that's just
Daughter of Darkness is a Christmas movie.
When you see it, you'll understand.
Yeah. I can't wait.
It starts on Christmas. They're all exchanging gifts. That's how it goes.
Hey, this one takes place in February.
No, I feel like that movie was the first time I ever watched something at home where like the sort of surround effect hit me, because like there's a scene, and you just reminded me of this, where like they're in like the villain's lair. And all of a sudden, this teddy bear calls off from off screen, like "Merry Christmas" or something. And I was like 14 years old, going, "Wait, where did that come from?" That was behind me. And
your spatial awareness awoke that day.
Well, except and before that, everything was always in the TV. And I'm like, why was there a sound out of the TV?
It's wild what they can do with surround sound systems. Yeah, it catches me off guard too, where I'll be watching something like, what? Who's back there? Like, there's some sound. I'm like, what's wrong with this house? Oh, never mind. It's just
like most movies don't really work to that, but then you get that one movie that has something really in the distance like that. It's like, oh yeah, I do have surround sound speakers.
It's nothing to worry about. Just a magical teddy bear trying to kill me.
Oh my gosh, the typical Tuesday.
Regular Christmas over at my house. That's how it goes. So let's just jump into it here. Of course, what is Tenchi Muyo? It's a show. An anime made by Studio AIC. Yeah, I know. Totally
Tell me more,
wild
Andy.
concept. Original creators Masaki Kajishima and Hiroki Hayashi. They worked on some other stuff like Bubblegum Crisis, Oh My Goddess, Persona 4 the Animation, whole bunch of stuff. They originally pitched a comedy spin-off for Bubblegum Crisis, and they were told, no, can't do that. And they're like, fine, we'll make our own anime with blackjack. Well, space aliens. And so then they made Tenchi, and it's a good time. There's a whole bunch of timelines and different spin-offs and things, but we're just kind of sticking with the OVA original timeline here, which is what most of the things are anyway. They all kind of stopped doing side stories and just kept doing regular stuff. But we're here at the end of OVA 1, and normally we do 2 episodes, but episode 7 is so big, we're just doing that one all on its own. And it's time to hear what you guys had to say, temperature check on this episode. Lance, you're the guest. I would love to hear what you have to think first about episode 7.
Well, first, I want to say that I was so glad to be invited on for this episode. It was either this one I wanted, or it would have been 3 or 4. But like this, it's because this to me is like the quintessential Tenchi episode. If I had just one episode to introduce people to the concept to, it would probably be this one. Because everything is in place. All the girls are here. The setting is here. The lore has been established to an extent. It's really just, a perfect mix of action and comedy. It has like the Three's Company, mix-up shenanigans, and it has all these different personalities bouncing off each other in crazy ways. And for reference, when you take away every single one of those things, you get the most recent Tenchi episodes.
Oh, spoilers!
Oh no!
You're making me not look forward to watching new things. Oh, well,
that's only because they're terrible.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I'm glad at least this one is good and brings the good feelings. Ken, what did you think about this one?
Last time when we were doing 5 and 6, I said those are really great episodes, but it's not what I'm here for Tenchi for. This is what I'm here for Tenchi for. And if 5 and 6 were like a plot ending to OVA 1, this was the character ending to OVA 1. Kind of like a Ava 25-26, end of Ava type situation, except not at all. Doug?
Right.
It's amazing how much of a difference of a better mood I am after watching a good anime as Tenchi Muyo as opposed to Dragon Ball Daima week after week. But just seeing just like the cutest episode, like this is like Ken said and Lance, this is like what I think of when I think of Tenchi Muyo. It's this like kind of like slice of life hijinks, girl after guy, and what kind of mischief's gonna get into. It was really such a cute episode too. I love this episode. And this is like the ending of this OVA. Is that right?
Right. So they had done the first 6 episodes, and that was kind of the end of that story. And it had done so well, they're like, well, we obviously have to do a continuation, but they needed some time to get everything together. So like, what if we just have sort of a fun slice of life in between sort of thing?
At first, I wasn't sure if I would like, I don't think we need it. But like after seeing it, I'm like, I'm glad we have this. This is great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's very, very good. I'm glad that everybody enjoyed it. It would have been a bummer if somebody didn't.
I have a question, though. Does anybody know what carnival the title of the episode is referring to?
That's an excellent question.
Oh, yeah, it is called Carnival, isn't it?
There is no carnival. So this is a thing that apparently Masaki Kajishima has used as a title for a lot of doujins through the years. I think it was like his first thing that he worked on at AIC. He also did like a spin-off little comic. And they're always just called The Night Before the Carnival. So it's kind of like Eiichiro Oda has used Romance Dawn for a bunch of different things, One Piece and like the stuff leading up to it.
So crazy that you know this right off the top of your head. Oh yeah, I'm glad you asked. But I guess it's just like another way of like just saying fun, maybe, like because this was a fun episode.
Well, it's interesting because I think as a kid I kind of conflated this because there is an episode of the TV series Tenchi Universe that actually does have a carnival at the shrine.
Yep.
And so I think my mind would sometimes like smush these together.
Yeah. It's weird. The episode was called Romance Dawn or whatever. It was weird.
So that must be the episode that Patria was talking about loving doing. Because this whole episode, I was like, okay, we only have so much time left. Where's this carnival? I know it's coming. Patria said it's coming.
It's unfortunately different series. I mean, not unfortunately. You get a whole other thing of Tenchi you get to watch if that's what you're looking for, Ken. So go watch Universe. Yep. It's a good time.
Yeah, and I'm rewatching that right now, and I'm having a lot of fun.
You are? Okay, because in my brain, Tenchi universe is always second fiddle to everything else. So I'm just
definitely. Like, well, again, everything is relative because I just tortured myself over 2 weeks with really, really the worst storytelling I've ever seen in my entire life. So to go back after that to see episodic Tenchi, which is just, it's fun. It's not as, deep or compelling or emotional. It's not quite as good a mix as this stuff is, but it's still several rungs above abject boredom for hours.
Oh, wow.
Something that's entertaining.
Sorry.
Is at least good.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be jumping off, but I need people to share my pain. I really do.
Well, I'm going to get to it. I mean, I'm pacing myself, and I just want to stick with this. And then after that, maybe I'll then sit down and do OVA 4 and 5, because I've seen 3 a lot. I personally like 3, but 4 and 5 I couldn't get into. But I want to try and actually give it a go. But
it's worth trying because you will never forget the experience.
And for better or worse.
Also, I know who Tenchi ended up with. I'm not going to tell you.
He ends up?
I mean...
But I wish I could forget.
Oh, no. No, you know what? Actually, I'm happy. I remember I saw a post by you, Lance, and I was like, I don't know if we could be friends. But for your choice of which girl. But, it'll be okay.
Now, we're locked in on this because I showed Randy how to change...
You would never guess.
I showed Randy how to change the awful subtitles on the rips that we have of OVA 4.
Oh, yeah.
So... Randy's now a subtitle editing guy, and we're going down there.
It's true. We're sickos, the two of us.
Yeah.
Ken could just share his subtitles, and then I could be like, oh, cool, I got this.
No,
but he wants me to do it myself.
Teach a man to fish.
Teach
Randy.
a man to fish. Teach a Randy a subtitle.
That's fair. All right. So let's just dive into it, guys. We're doing episode 7, The Night Before the Carnival, which originally came out in Japan January 25th, 1994. And that is a good bit of time since the last one, because we had episode 6, which came out March 25th, 1993. So a whole 9 months later. This has been like on a 1-month cadence. And now we had 9 months in between this and Night Before
This must
the
have seemed
Carnival.
such a random episode to just pop out of nowhere then.
Well, the story goes something like it wasn't part of the original plan, but the first 6 episodes were so successful, they decided to make this.
Yep, exactly. And then kind of like the train just keeps going because they have this come out, and then I want to say the Mihoshi special is in March, which is just 2 months later. And then they do OVA 2. And then things get real weird. Like the Pretty Sammy OVA episode 1 comes out. And then the 26 episode TV series comes out. And then OVA episode 2 and 3 come out. So it's like, you guys are doing too much of this stuff.
They must just have like, different departments. Like, we need Tenchi work, so let's just all different departments work on different parts of Tenchi and release when you can.
Yeah, no, I was looking this up recently as I've been doing my rewatch. And I should clarify, I've only been doing this rewatch because I've been listening to your podcast. And I was like, I really should revisit Tenchi. So all of the accolades and all the blame... you can have that. But yeah, but I was looking into this trying to figure out the timeline myself, and I was shocked to realize that all of the Tenchi television, the universe, came out in between episodes 11 and 13 of the OVA. Like, just in that, all 26 episodes were in this tiny, tiny window of the OVA.
Jeez, they were really kicking it out there in the mid to late 90s, and then took a bit of a break. But it's good. It's good stuff. I like it. So this episode 7, I'm just going to give you a real quick rundown of what happens in this episode, and then we're just going to dive into it. It is a time of relative peace at the Masaki house, which is now home to Tenchi, his father, 6 space alien girls, and a pet/spaceship. Aeka and Ryoko's rivalry for Tenchi's affections is at an all-time high as they plot and scheme new ways to make the indifferent Jiraiyan boy fall in love with them, even going so far as to trick Mihoshi into jetting off back to her space police job. Oh, and Aeka's getting her spaceship reborn.
Ken's counting
Ken's
6.
counting.
Is there 6?
Yeah. Who's the 6th one? Because we've got Ryoko, Aeka, Sasami, Mihoshi, and Washu. Who's the 6th?
Ryo-Ohki.
I forget, because I always think 6 because universe and stuff, Kiyone is there. So
In our hearts, Kiyone's in
our hearts.
Yeah.
No, Ryo-Ohki is worth counting.
That's
Thank
true. That's true. We can't.
They
forget
all
Ryo-Ohki.
love him in one way or the other.
Her?
Ryo-Ohki.
That's what's
Ryo-Ohki's a
nice
girl.
too. Is that they're also like
Well-
the what?
Ken talking, picking a gender for Ryo-Ohki, because I believe it's kind of ambiguous. They've called Ryo-Ohki a he before, but there's stuff later.
Really?
It's very
I feel like
clear indication.
Constantly hear them refer to it as her.
Well, so I can talk about Tenchi Universe because different continuity, but isn't there another Cabot that's...
Yeah, Ken-Ohki.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Ken-Ohki, all right. Awesome Cabot right off the bat.
That's fair. Either way,
But yeah,
you know.
I think this is one of those things of like Japanese language getting in the way where you don't necessarily refer to things with gendered pronouns.
Right.
Mhm.
But you can shorthand those kinds of things, and I think maybe the subtitles or the script for the English version just sort of fell ass first into he, and then realized, this is a girl.
Yeah.
So I guess in the dub there are 6. You can count Ryo-Ohki as a her, but in Japanese and everything, who knows?
But then I have and a pet / spaceship. So now we've got. Then who's the spaceship?
Sorry to derail your summary.
This is the most we're talking about. I wish a
That's
spaceship
okay.
loved me.
We're here having fun. That's what matters. So that's basically the overall thing of what happens in episode 7. Let's just talk about get into it. Things we loved, things that we really liked, and all that good stuff. I believe it starts out like it's spring, so it's been a few more months since
We get
everything's
that
gone
New York
down.
accent right off the bat if you watch the dub.
Wonderful spring-like weather. Tenchi getting awoken by Ryoko, who's half in his room, like with the most horrible dead morning face, before following him to the bathroom. Oh,
Well, it wasn't
Ryoko.
as obvious to me in the dub than it was in the Japanese version, where she's been literally staring at him all night. That's why she looks tired or whatnot. She's literally just been all night peeking at him, making sure
Watching
he
him
doesn't leave.
sleep.
Yeah, it's like, I didn't want to make sure you didn't leave or whatever or hide.
I didn't even think about that. So that's
We've
new to
crossed
me.
the Rubicon with Ryoko. She's like full creeper mode now.
Yeah.
Wait. We've only now crossed the Rubicon? I feel like every episode has been her crossing every single line.
Flashback to previous episodes. Oh yeah.
This is the one where she follows Tenchi into the restroom. And it's like, whoa.
Checks it out. Hey, nice. And
I mean, in episode 3, she flies up behind him and starts massaging.
That's true. She was looking for a sword.
That's true.
She
That's what they all
found
say.
one.
Two jewel shards. But this it is kind of nice to see her finally admitting, you finally get she's not playing Tenchi for a fool with the emotions. She actually does love this character or really is infatuated by. So it's nice to see that.
Yeah, exactly. She loves him to the point of scratching at the bathroom door, waiting for him
That
to
was
come out.
adorable and creepy at the same time.
Ryoko doesn't know what personal boundaries are, and that's
So
okay.
she has a tail. I remember seeing a tail during the first Hot Spring episodes, and I brought that up, and I thought that was weird. And now it's back again. Is there lore to
It's
that?
just part of her outfit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's not even her; it's her outfit.
No.
Well, it could be.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's always with that same dress.
Really?
Yeah, that
I thought this
blue and
first time
teal.
we're seeing this dress, but I guess I'm
yeah,
wrong.
the striped. The striped.
When you turn on the camera, and I'm like, very thematic.
Oh my god, is that the sweater that Aeka sews for Tenchi? That's incredible.
Oh, that's good. Speaking
Yes,
of Aeka,
it turns out she gave it to me.
You stand up and you see it's 20 feet long.
secretly Lance has a 40-foot torso. We just never knew.
Attack of the 40-foot torso.
Speaking of Aeka, when Tenchi was getting changed, he noticed that he still had that ring that transforms him into his battle suit. Even though it's been months, he's like, oh, I guess I should probably take this off. Clearly it's been a few months. There's something that comes up later that messes with that, but maybe it's only been a couple of days. Either way, bro, how do you not notice that you've,
Do you guys notice
got
your
a new
wedding
ring?
rings on your hands after a while, or is it just?
I
notice it every
mean,
day?
I mean, I got mine refitted not too long ago, so it just, I don't think about it since then because it doesn't come off.
Mine is very loose because I'm cool and I've lost a lot of weight. But so I think about it all the time. I'm like, oh, it's about to fly off. But either way, I just like that he tries to take it off, and that's what activates it, and we get this whole like short transformation sequence.
And it looks so cool. You're right. It's so short, but it's so cool, like so impactful and beautiful. And he's just new again.
And I love that it plays the same music as when he's standing down Kagato in the preview. Like it's just a complete, just jump back into that moment. Super epic music, super epic flashes of light and costume, and I'm in the bathroom.
Yeah, just for breakfast.
But
someone was just watching me pee 5 seconds ago, and now here I am in my battle gear.
Typical Saturday. So when he puts that on, there was something in his outfit, which is just a little seed, which he's like, oh, Tsunami gave this to me for Aeka. It's to, have her ship come back because it got destroyed when Tenchi got killed or injured. We've settled on died. But so she gets that, and it's like, well, how are we going to take care of this? But of course, Aeka is super jealous seeing Tenchi and Aeka interact. Just the smallest conversation, and Ryoko looks like she's about to just lose it.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I jump into that debate though about the?
Oh, here we go.
Tenchi?
Yes, let's go.
Yeah.
Only because I think this came up when I was looking in my Tenchi Encyclopedia version 2.0 on my DVD box set. But I think it does clarify, and this also ties into the thing you were saying about, well, let me one thing at a time. It clarifies that Tenchi did not actually die. He just lost the bottom half of his body. Because, as we will see in OVA 2, if you actually die and Tsunami brings you back to life, there are different things that happen with you in that regard. But also that I think that ties into that line Tenchi has about I have my legs, because he does have them back. I think I could be wrong about this, but I think I read somewhere as a kid, or maybe that's my rationalizations. I think that is sort of a line they say in regards to ghosts, because ghosts typically don't have legs, and the dub localized that as I'm no ghost. So it's kind of like a double meaning kind of thing. I literally have my legs back, and also that means I'm not a ghost.
Exactly. Yeah, we had settled on that, and I think when I was editing the audio version, I just took that conversation out because it just makes us sound like we don't know what we're talking about. Being like, what does this mean? And then, whatever.
I hope you're not saying that for my benefit, because I did watch that episode of the podcast. So I'm like, oh, did I forget that they said that at the time?
No.
It was left in the YouTube version. So
I was going to say, I thought
a little behind the scenes. We've switched to a system where I edit everything and then I give it to Randy, and then Randy selects what he wants to keep or not keep out of that. But so, anyways, I left it in because I think, we haven't seen OVA 2 yet, so we can only work off of the information that we were given at the time. And did his heart stop? Technically, could he have been dead? He was in the
vacuum of space.
Yeah.
So who knows?
I want to hear what the logs have to say about this.
Yeah. Get them on the stand.
Hey, I'm reviving Tenchi over here.
Yeah, especially the one with the New York accent. Yeah.
He was like this when we found him.
I didn't do nothing. I got an alibi.
All right, there goes all of our listeners in New York.
All right. So Aeka goes to Washu to get this whole thing figured out, and Washu throws a fit like, no, you have to call me Little Washu or Washu-chan. Otherwise, I'm not going to do anything you want. Very adamant about being treated, childishly. And then I love the oh, okay, Little Washu. Would you help me? Sure. Have a flower pot.
Yeah.
I love that.
Immediately she's like, no. Smashes the flower pot on her head.
I just love this dub so much. And the way she goes, Little Washu! It just melts your heart.
How much fun they have with the voices, too. It's so great. Yeah. One thing I do commend the dub with is that, Washu always felt like a character to me that was, in this older 20,000-year-old lady in like I guess a shorter body. So it's kind of weird to then hear it in Japanese and it's like, oh no, they kind of gave her like a younger voice. So she's basically just like the lolicon character, where it's like a young girl in a young body, but she's actually 20,000 years old, so it's cool. Kind of weird, but it never appeared like that to me in the English dub, so I like that.
Well, I find this scene fascinating because it is like a really sort of seminal localization moment. Because I mean, this is basically an honorifics joke.
Yeah,
which is really difficult to play in a dub.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where they translated it in a way that isn't like exactly literal, but really gets the point across, and is almost, I think, in a way, kind of become a more iconic name. You know, calling her Little Washu. That's something that a lot of American fans really think of her as like her full kind of name. I have a friend, who, when we were in high school and we had AOL Instant Messenger, like her name is Des, and her screen name was Little Deshu, based on this.
Beautiful.
And so yeah, it's like this is an iconic localization change or localization attempt, which is really, really good.
Especially when it sticks like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that is good. When she finally is like, okay, fine, the flower pot thing is a joke. I do have something that we can use, and but it's a thing that Kagato made. Just want to let you know that the villain made this thing, but there's no funny tricks, and it's one of the few good things that dude ever made that wasn't sinister or used for bad things.
I'm pretty sure it's not the case, but it would be great if when they get Ryo up and running, that it's like Kagato's like the voice inside the system.
That'd be incredible.
It's an evil tree. No, stop it.
An evil tree who's here to party. Okay.
Aeka, welcome to the ship. It's so nice to have you back. It's like,
should I play Jock Jam? Should I resume Jock Jams 25 for you?
Yes.
Well, as long as the tree doesn't do the same creepy stuff to Aeka that the Kagato was doing.
None of that, please and thank you. Let's see what happens after this. Oh, this is the romance comics, the comics for girls section, which
but these are all Tenchi's dad's books.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Which you bring up later.
There's a whole collection of shoujo
It's amazing
manga.
how big of a role Tenchi's dad has in this episode, considering he's not in this episode.
Yeah.
The phantom of Tenchi's father and his.
It's almost like
manga
characters
collection.
exist without having to be on screen. It's so great.
And also, I can hear, as soon as Ken said that, I can hear it in my head. Just the delivery of what's her name, Sherry Lynn, who played Sasami in the dub. Mm-hmm. It's like we're reading comics for girls, and it's like I always have that exact delivery in my head all the time. It'll come to me just completely random moments. We're reading comics for girls.
And it's so interesting that that's how they choose to localize it, because this was dubbed in 1995 before manga was a word that we were really using over here.
Not in the zeitgeist at all.
Yeah, it was a good call because, like, I would have known watching it, like, okay, this is, a different sort of demographic is what these are aimed at or what have you. But now as I was watching, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna switch to Japanese and they're gonna say shoujo manga. I'm like, yep,
right,
okay.
Mm-hmm. But it literally
100%.
translates especially because you see what Mahoshi's reading, and it looks like it's us in the audience, like, oh yeah, that's a comic book kind of thing. So yeah,
I kept trying to look at like the spines and like try to read any of the titles and like, are these like plays on anything? But I don't know enough about like 90s or 80s shoujo manga to really, know if these are references to anything.
It comes back to being, this is a show before we had these style guides of how to localize anime and manga. Like, I guarantee you, we could never know this, but if this were localized today, they would have just said, we're reading shoujo manga, and expect the viewer to know what that was.
Yeah.
Very true.
Maybe like 10 years ago, it'd be like little like a note at the top saying shoujo is girls comics or whatever.
Shoujo is a word meaning girl, and manga is a word reading comic, and you put them together, it refers to a category of comics that are read typically by young girls.
How do you
and
pause the TV? I need to read.
Super title over. And also, Nakama can't be translated.
Yeah, have to leave that as is. I do love that they keep being like, how to, make a boy and a girl fall in love, Earth style.
Her style was caught me so off guard. Like, what? Excuse me.
It's just
Well, this whole thing, this whole sequence of events is so perfect because it is basically kind of like what would happen in the real world if somebody tried to like take antics from the Tenchi universe and try to pick up somebody that way.
Yeah.
And so it's like, this is what these characters are basically doing.
Exactly. It's like handing someone Twilight and like, here, this is how romance is supposed to be. It's like, no.
My next note that I have here is the tree planting unit that Aeka's in is gorgeous. I've always loved like the set design for anything that is like Jiraiyan in this series. So, these like concentric circles and just the water everywhere. Like, it's so good.
Beautiful.
I love it.
I couldn't tell that they were in Washu's pocket dimension yet. I just thought she was like over the lake or something.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because it's interesting because this is the first time we've ever been there before. It's never. I mean, there is no dialogue establishing. Oh, I built a pocket dimension in here, and here's under the stairs. It's just something you kind of have to sort of like the onsen, something you kind of have to roll with.
Mm-hmm. You have to roll with it, intuit it, and just kind of go for it.
Once she opens that door into the portal, you get it. Like, oh yeah, okay, they're in another pocket dimension kind of thing. So it does it so well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really great at showing and explaining that way, and expecting the person to be watching and paying attention. And like, oh, okay, I could figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, it's very, very different from what comes later.
Oh no! Come back to us, Lance. Come back. But anyway, I love how Aeka gets mad at Ryo-Ohki. Like, that's not the carrot, and like you see them like in like posing out like battle stances like on the ground.
Yeah, I love
so great. For a second, I thought they were both hissing at each other, but it was just Ryo-Ohki. It was so funny.
And it's great because it's not just a gag; it's setting up a beat for something to come later.
Yes.
When I started this episode, I was like, okay, this is like going to be just a really good filler episode. And then after I watched it, I was like, there was so much lore stuff going on here.
Yeah.
Like weaved and hidden through the episode.
Because it is also, it does come back at the end as well, but it's also Washu sort of setting up her scheme. She's getting Ryo-Ohki out of the way by saying, oh, I think Aeka's off like planting carrots or something. So of course she's going to run off with that. But it's really just to get Tenchi alone for
and even Tenchi. We'll get there, we're almost there. But just the funny beat of Tenchi realizing you're going to do something weird, aren't you? She's like, yep, I knew it.
Bingo.
Like bingo. And then you see the thing behind him just grab him. So freaking funny.
The tentacle things, and he's just like, I figured it could be something, but has no idea what it's going to be. And my next note is just called exclamation point.
Oh my god.
Yes. But I also love that Ryo-Ohki has her own little digging song when she's like trying to dig up what she thinks is a carrot. Meow, 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 meow. You know?
Oh, yes.
Ryo-Ohki is too pure for this world, and I'm glad that we had that to prepare us for what would happen next. Which, I don't know. I love this scene. I just think it's funny. Just Washu, who's like going through like, all right, we got all these different things these tests that are going, everything is normal. One presumes because she's claimed Tenchi as her guinea pig, seeing that he can, make lighthawk wings, which is a thing that people can't do. And of course, being a scientist, she's intrigued and wants to know things, but then is very excited that, I have to get one more sample. And we all know what it is.
I just need some sperm samples.
Oh, no.
Okay, all right. Let me walk through my history with this part. This is not in the Toonami broadcast, correct?
No. Toonami had to cut out a lot from this episode.
Yeah.
This scene is, but a large chunk of it is not, because I did watch a good chunk of the Toonami broadcast earlier today.
So then a few years ago, I watched this in Japanese. So my first exposure to this was in the Japanese version.
Oh, okay.
And that left such a shock.
I'm sure.
So fast forward to last night, I'm dreading the scene, and I'm only watching it dubbed for us going through these reviews. It's toned way down.
Way down.
Yes,
well, there's no mention of mouth or hands or
hand or cleavage.
The full service. Oh my god!
What's going on is still obviously going on, and you know it, but it's played much softer than, no pun intended, than in the in the Japanese version.
Softer.
Well, so yeah, there are very specific beats in the Japanese version of I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And the English version is much more just kind of it's almost kind of like vamping, like as you would say in music, just sort of like finding things to fill. Like, oh, I'm going to do this. Do you want me to? No, yes, no, yeah.
Right. You don't feel the immediate tension
vamping dialogue
until the hands go down the pants. And it's like, oh, where did we go?
Which I'm pretty sure... And remind me, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, because I meant to rewatch this on Toonami before we did this, just to have because I watched it dubbed and subbed to prepare for this. But I'm pretty sure, like the Toonami version, well, one, it cuts out the part where Ryoko's watching him pee at the beginning, and it just cuts to her scratching at the door. Mm-hmm. And for here, it cuts right as, like, her hand is reaching into the boxers, and you can sort of hear that sort of sound as Mihoshi jumps in. Is that right? Is that right where it comes in?
No, we actually cut long before that. So she's going through the thing of like, here's all the things that are fine or whatever. But I need one more, the most important sample. And Tenchi says, you got it? Do you have everything? Sasami's got breakfast for us, and then cut. Like, then we just go to the next scene.
That's a way to do it. Yeah. Anything else would have been a little too risky.
Right, yeah, or having to do a lot of redubbing and like maybe some still frames of things. Yes. But yeah, then it just cuts to, Ryoko reading shojo afterwards. So,
you know what? All things considered, Tenchi's taking it in good spirits, I guess.
That's true.
If Tenchi's okay, I'm okay.
So first off, in the dub, I do this. The line that Washu says of "Let's shake the dew off this lily, shall we?"
Oh yeah, that's right.
Great.
Oh my god,
that's a line I'm pretty sure I didn't understand when I was 14.
Absolutely not.
I'll say this about this scene is that the level of uncomfortable it made me feel made me realize what women must feel about so many different types of media.
Of course.
So it's a really great scene to get men to relate to that kind of stuff, I guess.
Right.
It's definitely something that I felt a lot differently about watching this year than I did when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
As a teenager, I should say. Where I'm like, whoa, hey, this is kind of... I'm pretty sure at 14 it was like everything was so new in that world that it's like, oh, tee-hee, they're saying cleavage, tee-hee, they're doing this, and it was all just like this exciting kind of stuff. I don't even know how much
type humor too.
Keep
So
in the
just
show,
like, what are they doing or what's going on? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember at that age, for me, getting like Puni Puni Poemi and watching that for the first time, and I'm sure it would not go well if I watched it today.
That's sometimes the risk you take when you want to revisit things from your younger years of like, oh, okay, I thought this was funny, or like, this has not aged super well. But I do really like, Washu is doing her thing, and then Mihoshi shows up, and just Tenchi's like the way his like head and is animated, like,
just,
thank God,
dies.
the bulb's just like turning off. Like,
I can breathe.
I do like the detail with the ball was like reflecting his mood. That was great.
Oh, I didn't know. This is funny.
This is a really great continuation from the previous episode where it's like, how did you get in here? Like, oh, I got lost and I found myself here. It's like, this isn't a place you just walk into.
Get in here by being lost.
Which is what Mihoshi did to free Washu last time.
That's her skill. That's her skill.
That is her skill, and I just love, oh, you're playing Doctor. Well, please continue. And she's like sits there to like watch to see like how this is going to go. And whatever is going on with Washu's computer where things start going wrong and hoses pop out with like Ryo-Ohkis and one angry Ryoko.
One angry Ryoko. Like, what is this contraption? It's incredible.
I do love it.
I will say
good.
that like watching this episode, since I watched it both dub and sub, I much prefer it in Japanese. Things just flow better. Comedy hits a lot harder. But in this instance, in the dub, it's so much funnier to hear like the natural voice of Washu telling Mihoshi to stop messing with the machine.
No, don't stop. Don't touch that.
Yes, it's a very like hesitant, but like real like, no, what are you doing? Stop. In the Japanese version, she doesn't say anything until like she comes in the screen and says stop it. But man, in the dub, it's just so funny.
That reminds me. I was wondering if anybody knew the answer to this, because there is that moment when it's sort of the reveal of Washu as the nurse and does this pan up where she's like getting the glove on, and like there's this little weird sort of sound effect, the ba 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 that's Keshi or something like that, and I have no idea if it's supposed to be saying something, but I just always remember that little weird chipmunk voice. announcing the arrival of the nurse.
Was that in the dub too? Because I watched the dub first and sub. So like when the sub came along, I'm like, oh, was that in the dub? I forgot.
Yeah. So that's left in there. I don't know what they're saying, and I've always wondered too. And at this point, I don't want to know. Let's leave it in mystery.
It's a funny sound.
Just some mysterious weird thing. But I also am curious, but I'm scared to know what it could be.
I'm pretty sure it's unique to this scene. It's not like the kabuki stuff that gets reused lots of times, But it's just this is unique to this scene. And I always remember that weird sound.
Mm-hmm. And I will say for the dub, agreeing with you, Doug, I also just really like the part where everything is kind of flying out and Washu finally comes over to try to fix it. And just the way that she delivers it, no, go away. It's like very much like your parents walked in on you doing something and you're just like, just leave me alone. I want, privacy. You're just like,
yeah. Super embarrassed. And just like, just stop it.
It's good. I like that we cut to then Ryoko chilling out in the rafters as she does, and she's got like a pile of like 24 comics for girls that she's been ingesting.
She makes laying on a beam of wood with one pillow look like the most comfortable, coolest thing ever. Like, I want to do that. I'm laying in my comfortable bed and like, man, I wish I had a piece of wood I could lay on right now.
Right? That would be so much better. So
don't clip that audio.
We have Ryoko's like, all right, I'm finally going to go and I'm going to win Tenchi's love Earth style. And she rolls up her sleeve. She's like, all right, let's do this. And I actually just need to go quick and like pause for this impact frame as she just rams right into him.
I was hoping you would.
Because I didn't pause, but I was kind of curious. I'm glad you did. What is it?
It's like her in like a leotard kicking him in the face.
It's like a wrestling
superhero
outfit.
leotard kind of thing.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
And then goes into this whole thing of like, okay, what has happened in these comics? And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry I ran into you. My name's Ryoko. Like, yeah,
so good,
so good, so good.
She is so mindful, so demure.
I laughed so loud. My wife was asleep on the couch taking a nap. I laughed so loud. She was like, huh? Oh my god, so funny.
It's the funniest joke. And then, he's like, are you okay? Are you sick? And then she's like, well, what should I do? She's like, oh, it's like you're coming on to me, and pushes him. But she's mega strong, pushes him like 30 feet through the ground.
Yes, and it's so much funnier because right before that, she says, I'm Ryoko, what's your name? And then Tenchi touches her and she does the push. She says, Tenchi, stop. He didn't introduce his name, but it's just the play that she's playing
he
along with.
He has the blank face moment when she's like, I'm Ryoko. He's like, brr. And it makes the sound effect too of like the brr.
Gosh, it's so good. And like
every moment of this scene is gold. Like it's every single
true.
one. You can just go beat for beat. Like Mihoshi then shows up into it.
Oh yes, when she shows up, it's so funny. And Ryoko's like, get out of here.
I'm at the important part. You should have some cold medicine. I don't want it.
And then as she's dragging him off, it cuts to Tenchi's eyes just sort of like slowly follow.
Perfect. Cinema right there.
There's that part where she finally takes him away, and like Aeka and Sasami are at the bottom of the stairs. I watched this in English first, and then I watched it in Japanese. In English, I seem to remember like they go away, and you don't hear them, and they're just standing there at the base of the stairs before then turning to each other after a long time of like, well, that was weird. But in Japanese, like you can hear Mihoshi dragging Ryoko like the whole time until they turn. So I'm like, okay. Well, I mean, both work. Both are funny, but it just made it more awkward to me. But I'm not sure how you guys felt about that.
Didn't really register anything. I only watched it the one way, though.
That's fair.
I watched it both, but separated, and I don't really. There are other things in this episode I did pick up on for later. There was a difference that affected my enjoyment, but this was not one of them.
Okay, make sure to bring that up when we get to it. I'm excited to hear. My next note here, Tenchi's dad has the library of manga in the house. Is it all shoujo manga, do you think? Or is it a mix of a bunch of different stuff?
He's probably got some hentai.
I was just saying, one would assume that he'd have like pervy manga as opposed to shoujo, but maybe he's a man of taste and just has rooms full of different genres. It's huge.
Now, Doug, close your eyes. Lance, this might be better for you unless Ken has recently watched OVA 3. But do we think it's all his manga, or is it somebody else's that might have?
Right. Mm-hmm. That's a good point. That is a. I wish you'd seen 4 and 5 because I could add even more to that from that.
Oh boy! Now I'm really excited. Okay, I gotta watch.
Keep my eyes closed didn't help at all.
Well, I kept it as spoiler free as I could, Doug. You'll have to just see.
But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay,
and yeah, that is a very good point. That's a very good possibility.
Hmm. So Aeka does her research and has her whole thing with Tenchi where he's walking up the stairs to go to the shrine, and before Ryoko just walked into him, Aeka pulls a rope to trip him on the stairs.
A trap.
The most dangerous thing. It's like, oh, no, here, take this rag. It's okay if you get it dirty. And then just like runs away. By the way, my name is Aeka.
Oh, God.
Remember?
Don't forget it.
They read these books but without any like real Earth context. And so they think all of the way to get a man is a meet cute.
Yes, yes.
And they take it so literally. I love it. It's so
I love
funny.
they do. It's so great.
I have to do a tangent here for a minute, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Because I've been watching every episode of this very, very wonderful Tenchi podcast you've been doing. I've loved every minute of it. So thank you.
Thank you.
But I will say that in terms of factions, everything is very one-sided on this podcast, and it's time to shake things up just a little bit.
Oh, here we go.
All right.
No, here's the thing. I really I don't in terms of shipping, I'm not a huge shipping type of person. I'm really not. And I really do enjoy Ryoko as a character, so that I don't have any ill will. It is certainly in the sense of the TV series, both of those characters are like pushed to their extremes to become just really meh. But yes, I've made no secret about the fact that I prefer Aeka. But this is the episode. This episode's kind of a turning point, and this moment right here, because this is the episode. I say this with no malice at all, but just as a story structure thing, this is the moment that Aeka sinks down to Ryoko's level.
Yeah.
And it's because like this you can totally see Ryoko from every moment going, what's my next scheme to bag Tenchi? Mm-hmm. And stumbled into the manga stuff, and it's hilarious and wonderful. But it's like every moment up until now where it's been Tenchi and Aeka, they have had really natural meetings together, and it's always been Ryoko behind them looking really jealous about it. Like they have episode 3, they have the shack scene together, and then they bond over the Funaho tree, and Ryoko's all like, oh, you got the sword back, and then she's like, oh, you guys are like close now. And then in episode 4, Ryoko pulls Tenchi into the hot spring to try to make Aeka upset, and then there's the big spotlight moment where she's like looking back, wait, what? What? This is backfiring. What is happening? And even in this beginning of this episode where she's scratching at the door, and then Tenchi comes out and goes, oh, Aeka, I have this seed to give you, and we have this tender moment together. And Ryoko's like, what? What's happening? So it's like every moment up until now, they've been bonding. And it seems this is like the one weird logic gap where it's like, why does Aeka feel the need to get involved in this? She's never had to, and frankly, if as the end of the episode kind of bears out, if she hadn't, she'd probably be in a much better position.
Oh,
that's true.
They're reading
That's
too much
very
shojo
true.
manga and realizing that love is a battlefield, and so she's seeing Ryoko going full force. She has to go full force too. She can't be left behind in the dust. So, yeah.
It's just,
I agree. Like structurally, this has to happen because if you want to have Ryoko and Aeka, bounce off each other, you got to have them both be these kinds of repellent forces.
Yeah. I mean, this is like the first episode where we fully see like their emotions on their sleeves. Like they really do want Tenchi's affection. So like they're going for it. And so this is them full tilt going for it.
and it gives a good, character thing for Aeka to be like, all right, she's not just, the prim and proper princess. And
she has
can
techniques
just
too. Like she sets a trap later on for Ryoko. Great.
But I feel you, and I hope that I haven't made you feel uncomfortable about your choices of who you think should be with Tenchi. You know, I welcome it all.
And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I think it's like the results are hilarious. I'm just saying from the perspective of her character, it's like, you shouldn't have done this. Like, you're better off to just let things run their course. Ryoko is like digging her own grave here.
Right. But we're relatively teenagers, so making mistakes.
I do believe that we address
hilarious.
the fact that Aeka seems like the intended ship of these two characters, or of this group. It makes they're the sensible ship, and that's why I like Ryoko, because she's the chaos,
Right.
and all that.
No,
Just use little chaos.
she is a fantastic character. I love her antics. She's great.
I got to root for the underdog.
Yeah.
Well, then it's not Ryoko, because Ryoko's the choice. We're getting too far into the shipping wars. We all want to stay friends.
Well, again, I know how it ends.
Okay. Well, I'll always have a certain continuity's choice at the end.
It's the lady who owns the onsen.
Yeah, whoa.
The old Obachan?
Well, I can't.
All of these girls have been
Can't argue with that logic.
Can't argue with that. Maybe Tenchi just really likes older women. You'd think Aeka and Ryoko, they count, hundreds and thousands of years old, but
Nah,
no.
dog. He's into the real... Oh, no.
It's about the energy.
What happens next, Randy?
So what happens next is we have Grandpa Katsuhito doing his thing at the shrine, writing haikus, and just
my God.
he's sitting there silently, hangers on, though you be friends. Be more humble when asking for seconds. One of my very best so far.
He compliments himself.
I used to quote that all the time as a kid. I loved that quote, and that delivery in the dub is amazing.
Oh,
He's like,
God.
Hoshi, you genius son of a bitch. He writes that.
And then he goes out to see Tenchi, who's doing his shrine work. He's sweeping and things like that before he got tripped. I mean, Katsuhito or Yosho, whatever one you want to go with, is just like, what are those girls doing over there? What girls? Turns and look, and Azaka and Kamadake, the logs are there. Ryoko and Aeka are hiding between that, and we're playing like the battle music. Just like staring, plotting.
I love that they didn't notice each other until that moment, too.
Yes.
They're both
That's
so
my
wrapped into
guardian.
their...
You can't use that.
They're so wrapped into their own meet cute that they're like playing a character so much they don't even look. It's so great.
Yeah, they're standing right next to each other, and the giant log is next to the giant log that they're standing behind, and they did not see it at all.
And they're like, oh, we've been caught. We might as well go. And I like that, Ryoko can teleport, but it's like Aeka's got to do the walk of shame. Just the whole way.
Yeah.
And especially because, Katsuhito invites them, come join us. And they're like, nope,
Yeah.
nope, our plan didn't work out.
Yeah, it
We are
didn't
going
work
to
out."
leave now.
I like how Ryoko thanks one of the logs, too.
We-
Like,
yeah.
thank you. It was so great.
Yeah, that was a good moment.
She's a good girl. So obviously their plan failed. So the first thing they do is they go and they do more research. And I love Aeka being in this dingy attic reading manga by candlelight. I'm like, ooh, that looks cozy. Let me come there.
This is what I imagine Ken looks like when he's looking for Daima lore and reading manga. It's just a year.
He's in his lair.
It's all Dragon Ball manga stacked up with the candlelight.
I'm like,
And then,
okay, what did they mess up this week?
So they go into these fantasies that they've now crafted from reading this manga.
Great.
My favorite one, they're just so good. We've got Aeka dreaming of seeing Tenchi, and he's wearing Yosho's clothes, which is interesting. He looks great in them, by the way. I do love that outfit. And then she's like, "Oh, I made this for you," and it's the most normal sweater, which is look at what he's wearing, lady. He should stay where he's at. And then cut back to reality. She's just hysterically laughing about her great plan before realizing, yes, she's sewn 40 feet.
Both their laughs that they do to each other, to themselves, is so pure and hilarious in both dub and sub. It's so great.
Oh, Ryoko's is the one that makes me laugh the hardest, though, which is just a sepia tone thing. Tenchi with a mustache, eating, and Ryoko just right there, what's he gonna say? And just good.
And no, it's I usually I rewatch the dub just in preparation for this, but I usually just watch it subbed now. But even when I was watching it subbed, I had to swap over because I love the way Matt Miller does that. Good.
Yeah.
It's too perfect. I love watching this dubbed, and I've been enjoying watching it subtitled for the first time, like actually legitimately intending to see the whole thing. Because I watched OVA 3 subtitled when I first got it, out of anger and rage. But like sitting here and watching these, I'm like, okay, I'll watch these both. But yeah, man, this dub is good. Like,
I
it's
liked
just so fun
I
and
liked
charming.
in the Japanese version, Aeka's dream in Japanese better, just because the voice actor for Tenchi seems like a lot more believable in like the sultry, like, oh, I love you, Aeka, as opposed to how he does it in the dub. It's like the goofy voice is still there, and so you don't really believe the acting. It's not 10 out of 10 for me.
So many choices are made in this dub that you will just not experience anywhere else.
It's lost of time.
They just don't dub anime like this anymore.
It's good.
It has a charm too, so like it's not a bad thing, but it's just different, you know?
Right. There's a thing that comes up in this because now we cut back to Ryoko, what she's actually doing. She's like making a stew, and she picks up the ladle and tries to like, well, I can't taste this. I've got to get somebody else. Like, so Ryoko doesn't have taste buds? Is that what the deal is here? Or is it just she's incapable of being able to tell? Is this good? Would humans like this?
She got COVID.
It's the former, actually.
Oh no, the taste buds are gone.
Like, so I'm pretty sure that's what the lore says, is that she doesn't need to eat, she can't taste, she only drinks to get intoxicated, but she doesn't like really taste anything.
That's the vibe I got too, is that she just doesn't need it to live, so she doesn't eat.
Right.
Really.
Yeah, I mean she doesn't need to breathe.
But you don't need to know that to enjoy the scene, because it works either way. You can just assume that, oh, I don't really know what somebody would like. Just bring in the cat.
Yeah,
totally relatable.
Which good idea, because if Ryo-Ohki can taste it, Ryoko will know what it tastes like because they share a connection.
Oh,
that's right.
And then Washu is like, garlic?
sitting there typing away, going, too much salt.
That's there's a hair in her mouth. Like, where did this come from?
I do love that Ryoko's just going at it, just like pouring whole like bottles of soy sauce, and then she eventually is just like, I'm just gonna walk away. I don't know what
is
I'm
wrong.
doing.
Yeah, leaving the stove on.
Like Sasami's gonna have to clean that up.
An alien thing to do though. Like,
doesn't Ryo-Ohki like pass out?
Yeah.
Yes, it just falls off the table.
Tenchi comes home from doing his shrine work, and Aeka and Ryoko are both like there to welcome him home, and like, oh, I took this quiz, and like we're perfect matches. He like knows immediately what it is. Like, guys, those books are 10 years old at least. They're not going to be useful.
Now I have to be an equal opportunity timeline complainer here.
Whoa,
Of course.
They established this episode is taking place in February, and so I was curious: when should you harvest carrots?
Oh,
So I googled it.
Ken going, you can't help himself, Ken. You can.
Most varieties of carrots are sown outdoors between April and July. Now, I will say, these carrots seem to grow pretty fast.
Yeah, like within a day.
So they must be like Jirayan carrots that you can grow in February.
genetically modified by Washu, you know.
Yeah.
It's explained later.
Oh, good. I'm glad that this is the things that we can explain.
What a show!
I know. It has everything Ken wants.
Actually, I have to say, because I'm trying to be a good podcast guest if I'm going to be on one, and I did request the outline before we did this, and I was, well, one, extraordinarily impressed that you had like the entire transcript of the episode.
Not something we normally do.
Which really helped me make my own notes for this, but also you added in stuff like this, including the carrot. It's like, I can't wait to see where Ken goes with this little carrot image, about carrot harvesting he has in here. I want to hear this.
I went to go share that outline this morning after you requested it, Lance, and I was like, all right, I'll get him the link. And then I went back in and I was like, what the hell is all of this? So I like roasted Ken in our group chat of just like, why is the whole script in here? Oh, you're highlighting things.
So this isn't something you normally do.
It was just for this one.
So why did you do? So why for this one specifically?
There were so many things I wanted to make sure we touched on, and so I was like, well, I don't like to take notes when I watch Tenchi. Like with Daima, I watch those episodes like 2-3 times, and so on the third time I'm taking notes. But Tenchi, I'm not rewatching, so I don't take notes while I watch it. And then I'm like, well, there's stuff I want to talk about in this one. I'll just put the whole damn subtitle file in here and then just go through during the day and highlight the stuff that I want to get to.
Well, we'll get to this later, but it taught me something that I never knew before. I never noticed by listening to it. So, thank you. That was really helpful. Like all of that stuff was really helpful.
I like this. We should definitely do that for things like this. That could be really helpful for that. My favorite thing though is Ryoko shares like her book quiz thing, and then Aeka like slides in. It's like, oh, it's like this, how our match works out. And you just see Ryoko seething until she just kicks her out of the frame.
A good swift kick too. But Aeka comes back and like pinches that crap out of her hand to get her off attention.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're a monster. You don't want to be in love with a monster, do you?
And then Washu showing up like, but I've got one hot off the press. And like, oh, well, we're actually a perfect match.
And she comes in with this book, and you can see 2 kanji on the book she's holding. One for star and the other one for fortune telling. And I said, I bet that means astrology. And so I went to gshow.org, typed in astrology, and boom, sure enough.
For real.
Japanese is easy, guys. These translators.
Why didn't they just Google it back then? Gosh, morons.
Come on, you guys.
Did the handkerchief have anything specific? Because it had something written on the when Ayeko's playing her trap on Tenchi.
I wonder if it is just her name, like it's monogrammed or something.
Maybe. I wasn't sure if you guys saw that and noted it out, but maybe it could be nothing.
Yeah, I am curious. My next note here is about Ryoko. She's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go ask the grandfather to like be okay with marriage. And she thinks it's perfect. And then when she gets there, she sees that he's actually chatting with Mahoshi. No, it's not.
No, this is the thing I brought up earlier about how the dub, and it's not actually it's something you guys brought up, I think, in an earlier podcast, because it's something the dub is missing that the Japanese version has that confused me the first time I watched this as a kid, where it's like, this is a fantasy sequence where Ryoko is asking for Katsuhito's blessing and he gives it. And it wasn't like in the Japanese version, there's an echo on all this dialogue to indicate that it's fantasy. And the dub does not have that. And so the first time I watched this as a kid, I thought she actually went to go see him. And then when it cuts back to her laughing about it, she's like, yes, got it. And then she turns around and sees Katsuhito talking to Mahoshi. I'm like, what's he doing? Man, he's really screwing with these people.
No, that wasn't me as a kid. That was me now, Lance. I was watching the dub first. I'm like, what happened? What? Is that real or?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was all real.
Oh,
yeah.
No, it was her plan. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. That is kind of
would
funny.
Have said yes to 2 girls though. Like, you both can have it.
All 5 of them. He's like,
I'm taking back all my laughter. Then it was unearned.
Oh no. See, it's funny because she had planned this and it's organically happening with the least likely.
I also live in the Japanese version of that fantasy scene. Yosho's voice is very like mature and like, yes, you may have my blessing. And then it comes to real life, him talking to Mahoshi, and he sounds like a doofy grandpa, like hee hee. Like, do you have a boyfriend? What do you think of Tenchi?
I do just, Mahoshi for me is like not even in the picture for like any of this. She's just kind of like ditzy and doing her own thing, and she's like, Tenchi's nice, but never like I'm in love with him. But
she has the best payoff at the end when, never mind. We'll get there. I don't know if we're there yet. No, we're not there yet.
We're not there yet. So that was Ryoko's plan. Aeka's writing a love letter and gives it to Ryo-Ohki to deliver in exchange for carrots, and it's just so darn cute. Of like running into the door multiple times before being like, oh, right. I have to phase through it. Okay, there we go.
You know what a beautiful thing too that like they didn't need to show is that when Ryo-Ohki successfully phases through the door, Tenchi's kind of already looking at the door. Like you could just say like, oh, just an animation thing. They didn't want to draw him like turn to look. No, in my head, he hears the bonk on the door, and so he looks. So he's already looking, and so when she comes through the door, he's already there welcoming her. Oh, what are you doing here? What's up?
Yeah.
It's great storytelling.
This is the worst thing Aeka has ever done, though, is promise that carrot and
then walk out.
I agree. That is unforgivable.
Where does she even go? She's like, I should probably leave. Oh, she's probably going to the spot to meet Tenchi or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Tenchi is sitting there in like a house coat sort of thing, but the big thing is he randomly has a red ribbon in his rat tail, and we don't see it again after this scene. Like,
he's
did he
got
put
the
that
whole
in?
founding father look going on.
Yes.
Nothing about this in the Tenchi encyclopedia stuff.
I gotta know.
Afraid not. not the one that I have. I guess.
And so-
hey, look, sometimes you just want to feel pretty. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get it.
and he's allowed to. So the note said, "I'll meet you after school." Was he currently in school? Like, is he being
No,
homeschooled?
that's
or-
why it's so funny. She's just doing what the books say.
that's
I've sent a love
she's
letter.
doing the
That's
tropes.
right.
Yeah.
I was just saying.
And then
She's been to TV tropes and she's just taken the article.
So I'm gonna bring it back to like, oh yeah, his school did like get demolished in episode 1 by Ryoko, so he doesn't have school or summer vacation or whatever. But no, it's February, so I don't even know. Whatever.
I just love her waiting there to all night. She's like,
It's so
is it after
sad.
school yet? Like, when does this thing end?
This poor thing.
because an interruption happens right before
Yes.
he can leave.
A natural
Exactly.
interruption. Like, hey, can you just grab me some carrots? Yeah.
Yeah. I love, okay, I've talked about this music is great, but the music choice and placement for all this is so good. Like, he opens the door and we see like these scurrying shadows, and like a viewer could easily tell that's Ryo-Ohki. There's like a lot of them, but that's weird. But we play the most suspenseful music
Yeah.
possible.
No, I knew it was Ryo-Ohki, but even I got a little creeped out by like the music
Yeah.
and there being multiple of them. And the music just does a good job, and the scene just does a good job. Like, even I got a little like, whoa, it's kind of scared here.
Turns on the lights.
It's nice to watch a show that can use its soundtrack well.
Yeah.
I agree.
Haven't had that in a while.
Just the millions of Ryo-Ohki, and they've all taken the carrots, like they're each holding one. And it's a thing that I never really think about here, but like then Washu shows up and she's like, oh, you guys, you got to get back in that pond. And it's like, all right, you can have one each. And then they all fly off, turning into crystals and going into the pond thing. Like, oh, so Ryo-Ohki doesn't change into the ship. Like, she's just like the computer thing that's out hopping around. And they're like, the hull and all of the, actual components. And then she kind of like summons them to her to
What?
become the ship for transforming. That's wild.
Oh, is that how we're supposed to interpret?
You
I
lost me.
was going to ask. Like, I was going to
Yeah.
admit that I've never understood this scene. I never have.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, what? Why are all these Ryo-Ohkis, and why don't we keep them? Why do they have to go back to the lake? That seems terrible.
Yeah, we have all of these things that can move through subspace, whatever. Like, I can believe anything, but they're like, no, actually, the ship stays as crystals in the lake, and then when they need to leave, she like summons them to her to be, come the ship around her.
What?
Like, that's so weird.
I don't get it.
never thought about it that
Nah,
way.
so don't,
but-
you explain it. I don't get it.
well, then why else are the crystals going to the lake, Doug?
No, I don't get anything. I don't know whether multiple of them or whatever.
Because they're all just little bits. That's fine. Okay. Anyway, Aeka's waiting in the shrine, has no idea when after school is. We get the floating onsen back. That's great.
Yeah.
Love to see it. I just can't imagine sitting in like a hot tub with a towel around me. I don't care, if it's like modesty or whatever, like just wet terry cloth around me the whole
I
time.
think that's
Doesn't
common
feel right.
with an onsen. I don't know if that's your gaijin coming out of you, but I think
Gotta
it's
be.
common in Japanese
Couldn't
culture.
do it.
Don't spill your gaijin, Randy.
Don't spill it. Please, whatever you do. I know you're looking for a button to push. Don't push that button, Randy.
Hello. I like this that they've been doing their own thing of like trying to win Tenchi against each other. So now they're like, what if we work together? And
Just this
immediately,
one time.
It's raising the stakes. It's a good axe turn.
It's
yeah.
great.
and they're concocting a plan immediately like, okay, we're going to put a force field so the Washu can't get out of her place. We're going to get Mahoshi out of here because clearly like she's going to get married to this guy any minute. And oh God, I die every time. The plan is Ryoko goes to the shrine, like stumbles over her words to ask if she could borrow the phone.
Isn't that so funny?
Picks it up.
That's a great performance in the dub with the honorable grandfather, honorable sir. Can I honorably use your honorable? And
Use your phone.
Use your phone. It's
Yeah, it's
such
fine.
a good delivery.
She just gets it out and then calls the house, and Mahoshi answers it. Like, oh, it seems like I'm part of the family. What do you think? And Ryoko is already furious.
Shut the F up.
But isn't that a weird dynamic? It's a funny dynamic though, because well, one, you rarely see Ryoko nervous unless she's pretending to be a shojo manga heroine. But it's like, yeah, but when you think about the fact that this is Yosho, and like the last time we really see them together is them battling to the death, and now it's like she's gonna crawl into a shrine and go, Ryo, can I use your phone?
I love how mid-conversation Yosho picks up the table and steps back to get closer to the phone. I laughed so hard at that.
He's like, oh, there's some hijinks going on. I gotta hear what's going on over here.
He really is my favorite character.
Oh, so good. I love Ryoko just doesn't know people's names for these things, but so this is your very nasty superior. Like, oh, okay. She's just all there for it. And it's like, you got to get back here to headquarters. And because it's all part of the plan, after Mahoshi hangs up, immediately Aeka is right there like, oh, if you need a ship, Washu could do this for you. Like,
perfect.
It's all coming together now. I like this. And so then I promise, he says, Washu could get you a spaceship or two, as if she needs two of them.
Well, one for all her luggage.
That's true. Yes, all of her space patrol luggage. And then Washu like goes to the pond. Is like, hey, there aren't a lot of Galaxy police ships around here, so I should be able to pull it out of subspace easy enough. And Ken, I believe you had this highlighted. Is this just for something to talk about later?
Yeah, this in connection with another line later is that police ships are rare in this area.
Mm-hmm. Very, very good. Good script writing here. She pulls it out of subspace, and it's like, oh, good, here's my ship. But then there's the demon attached to it from episode 4.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, that's so good. And we have, like, the danger music, and everybody's freaking out, but Washu's just one finger, just takes care of it.
Freaking Hayashin or whatever, like, destroys it. Just
having a foolish daughter is more work for mom.
It's so great. Perfect. This show is so great.
And also, like, the fact that Aeka has to rub it in, he's like, well, that was easy.
Yeah, why couldn't you just do that? It's like, okay, I needed all my gems. Yeah, sure.
Had all my gems.
We have this send-off for Mahoshi. I love Mahoshi's outfit. So good. Like, the lipstick, the hat, the whole, like, everything is perfect. There's just the shot of, like, her wiping her tears. I think that was used in a lot of promos for Toonami. But, really? This is burned in my brain of, like, this is peak mid-90s anime. This is what it looks like whenever somebody brings it up.
It's great lighting, too. I mean, it's like this wonderful scene at sunset. And again, as I'm watching the TV series version right now, where it's like, it just doesn't look as good as this, which is, it's a TV budget, TV schedule, I get it, but it's like, God, the series is gorgeous.
Yeah. I mean, it was going for the whole vibe of, the huge irony is that Aeka and Ryoko have been trying desperately so hard to do this meet cute and like romantic novel type stuff, and then here naturally Mahoshi is living it with Tenchi right now with the beautiful like, I don't want to leave you, but I have to, and it's you feel it, and even Ryoko's like, what's this vibe going on right now? What's the mood? It's perfect. It's so funny. This is comedy. That's how you write comedy.
I want to say, I don't know about you guys, but like all of Sasami's parts in the dub, the audio is awful. Like it's like the worst microphone. It's like she's standing far away from it. I don't know what's going on, but it just struck me. And Ken, I thought you would be right on that. Like, oh, what's going on here?
I didn't notice it.
I didn't pick up on that. The only thing I picked up on this episode is there's some internal monologuing that Ryoko and Aeka do, and the audio for that sounded really bad.
Yeah.
Some bits here and there, but that one just really stuck out to me, and I couldn't get over it. I do love
the monologue while they're naked and like just rubbing, cleaning themselves, and then get all the bubbles on them.
Yeah, I was like, I'm distracted by the nakedness, but I also can't hear you.
Sure. Yeah, that's the reason you got closer to the screen, of course.
Yep.
Ken's like, whoa.
I can't hear what you're saying.
Let me get my binoculars right up to the screen. Talk louder.
My hearing binoculars.
I do love just Aeka and Ryoko just like bon voyage. You're like, bye, don't come back for a long time.
It's so beautiful. They're waiting.
Oh God. So now it's nighttime. Ryoko is tied up Aeka, and I love Ryoko's outfit. It's like,
Ayo. I'm like, hey, she's not wearing pants. Hey, is there cleavage? Hey, yeah. I was like, whoa.
It's got a boob window. It's sort of like looks like a kunoichi peeping tom kind of look.
Well, she does have the traditional attire for peeping because she does put the thing over. That's perfect.
Watching it this time, I'm like, she's not wearing anything under there for sure.
No,
for sure. She's on a mission.
And I'm not
She's
sure if
gonna
you
get wet.
noticed. Yeah.
She says
There's this whole, it's nighttime. The lighting is different, sure. But I find it strange that through this whole like segment, Ryoko's eyes are colored teal rather than yellow. And that always throws me off.
maybe it's
just
to show she's docile now, not evil. I don't know.
I'm colorblind, so I never knew what color Ryoko's eyes were to begin with.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, they're like a yellow gold, and now here they're like a teal. Which, it looks cute, but it pulls me out of it every little bit here and there.
Yeah, you were right.
So, Mahoshi, on her ship. Let's go there.
Talking to Yuki Nojo, which is like one of my favorite names in this show. It's just fun to say. Yuki
The
Nojo.
robot dude.
It is so fun to say. Yeah, this is another one of those things, though, where like the original version has a filter on his voice to make him sound mechanical, and the dub doesn't. I mean, but it's amazing how what a perfect match the voice is. Like, he sounds just like an English version of Yuki Nojo. But it is weird that when it comes to like echo filters or mechanical filters, the dub just is not doing them for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
It almost kind of reminds me of. Yeah, it almost kind of reminds me of like when they redubbed Dragon Ball Z, and like I've never listened to it, but I always heard people say that like when characters like Frieza would have voice filters on them in the original dub, that was all stripped out. And they said they had the recordings but didn't have the filters on them.
Yeah, I know that in re-releases, like 19 had like a very harsh robo filter thing over him, and then they took that out in like the orange bricks and stuff moving forward from there. But yeah, some neat things to notice like that, the voice filter thing not there. I wanted to bring up, before we get to the Yuki Nojo, it's like Mihoshi has like a little shuttle that then docks with the big one. And just like, let's take the time to animate this very like technical thing of like how it opens and receives this other ship and locks it together.
So cool.
So dang cool.
Attention to detail is unmatched.
It's that 90s anime. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ken bringing up the translation differences for what the password is to connect to Super Interspace Hotline, which is absolutely a thing that I want to like make. Like, I don't know if it's going to be like a sex call like thing or what.
Get there eventually.
But in the English dub, Mihoshi says there was an old woman who lived in a shoe. And in the Japanese is a little bit different. Ken, you have some notes here. Can you let us know?
These I didn't touch these. These are apparently in the subtitle file.
Oh! I didn't
just
see
that Japanese tales generally begin with, or often begin with, once upon a time there lived an old man and an old woman. And so English is adapted as there was an old woman who lived in a shoe.
Which was good.
Wait, that description was in the subtitle file?
Copy paste. I didn't do anything.
Okay, well, because what I was saying, like when I said that you taught me something, that's what I was referring to, because I'd seen that.
You didn't
because my subtitles use the old woman in the shoe, and I've been especially on this most recent watch through, I've been trying to listen to see where I could find distinctions and subtleties, and I'd never noticed that before. And I played it back just now, and I could hear Oba-san and Oji-san, and I'm like, oh yeah, they really are saying old man and old woman. Like, wow. So does your subtitle version say old man and old woman?
So I don't know. If it's in these curly brackets, it might be considered notes and then not show up on screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these might just be things that don't show up.
I just meant for the dialogue, like for the subtitle track and dialogue.
Yes, so I think that Ken is doing the same thing I am, which there is a version out there that uses the Blu-ray footage, but I believe uses fan subtitles, because there's two options. There's with honorifics and without, which I don't believe the Funimation nor the Pioneer version ever used. So
no, they did not.
Yeah, so this is kind of
cool.
Yeah, so it's out there, and you could definitely look that up. And it's.
But I guess the password is just supposed to be something like super simple that everyone knows. That's right. Which is the joke that she's
like a fairy tale opening.
Yeah, yeah. Once upon a time would be like the password.
The dub has an addition here, though, because Yuki Nojo says password confirmed, and in the dub, she just goes, wow. Like, I didn't expect that would work. And in the Japanese,
that's right.
That's not there. She doesn't have a reaction. But I love the, wow.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that worked, huh?
I would like to think that the sister grandfather is a general or whatever. He just like made it whatever she says, just make that the password. Just bypass all and just let her through.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, Ken.
Me too.
All right, Ken. Let's get into this timeline. What's going on here?
So the guy, I guess Mihoshi's superior, says 2 days ago, there was a report from the special unit. They detected a shock wave and an electromagnetic wave caused by a huge explosion. The headquarters did an energy spectrum analysis and concluded the explosion was from the soja. Which, that did not happen 2 days ago.
No.
So the way I would reason this out pretty simply is that there's probably just so much red tape that the report didn't come in until 2 days ago.
True.
Maybe 2 space days ago. I'm not running by by Earth time.
I want to say in the dub, did he say there was like the special unit in the solar system? But in the subtitles, they don't specify that. They're just like, there's a special unit. They found this. Like, obviously, waves traveling through space are not instantaneous. So, like, however far they were away.
Well, if I remember from just having watched the dub, and the difference between the subtitle and the dub that I saw was that they said the special unit got this, but the dub said the special unit sent to rescue you, which might imply that they were closer.
True. But then didn't she disappear far away and get sucked through a black hole that then ends at Earth, or was she still in the solar system at the time? I can't recall what it was in episode 4. The very
I think she was outside Earth.
Okay. Well, I know that that's where they're falling towards some sort of, energy pocket, and then it turns out it's just a hole that pops up over the onsen. But we're getting in the weeds. Either way, it's like, all right, we could kind of explain this a couple of different ways. So it can make sense, which is fine.
It's easier to explain than never knowing Katats.
That's true. But I think there's something that I can point out that I absolutely love, which is when Mihoshi is kind of explaining, why she wants to stick around because, Tenchi's there. She wants to stay with him. Her like 4 direction Super Nintendo sprite dance of like, going left, right, back, forward. I'm just like,
cute.
God, it's adorable.
It's so cute how it's like, she's like, I can't believe you made me say it. You made me say that he wants me there. Like, it's just so cute in this scene.
And then there's this whole thing where she's like, don't treat, like, oh, your grandfather, needs to like know about this. Like, don't treat me like a child. It's fine, whatever. And then brings up Earth is Jirayan territory. The Galaxy Police don't go there without their permission. And it's like, oh, he's Jirayan royalty. He wanted me to come back. It's okay. Which explains why those ships don't fall there that often.
There's such a sudden lore drop. Like, oh,
yeah.
Well, okay. I'm sure we'll get into it in OVA too, but
a simple thing like that explains so much and can set certain things. That's great. What the heck?
Yeah. I like that she's not listening to her superior at all. He's like, no, you got to stay. She's like, well, I'm off. I've got to go.
She's so infatuated by Tenchi saying, I want you back, kind of in her eyes. Is like,
yeah,
he wants me. It's so cute.
And then
superior's yelling at her, like, listen, hey, over here.
Please. Just hangs up on him. Back to the thing that I had put in out of order. Ryoko ties up Aeka and all that. She's going to go and infiltrate Tenchi's room. I like that she has to stop herself on the way there to like role play. Like, how is this going to go? And like doubles herself.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Piccolo training style. And there's
you like Aeka, don't you? No,
like,
I love you.
I love you, of course. But, she brings up, she's like, you don't like me because I punch holes in the ceiling or I walk through walls or I fly through the air, which is, that thing that he says in episode 1 where she's like, why would you call me a monster? It's like, because you punch holes in the ceiling, you can fly through the,
oh my God, I
walk
know,
through
that's so
fire.
Cute.
Yeah.
She's very self-aware.
She remembered that.
She really took that to heart.
Mm-hmm.
It was really traumatic for her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Emotional scars, they're going to stay. But then she's like, all right, nope, I've nailed it. This is exactly how the conversation's going to go. And I'm going to go in there. She starts to move the door. Tonight, we're going to get real wet. And then suddenly, splash.
And I'm pretty sure Toonami cut out that last line. I think
what she says.
Did they not?
Oh, there is a line there, but she says, we're gonna dive into some real fun, and then splash.
Nice. That's how you translate stuff safe for work. Yeah.
And the very cool, like, this is Aeka's doing, just like the water spinning up around as she's powering up and teleports out of there. Man,
I love how
how
she sneaks back in, same, but like quicker. He's like done with the role play stuff. It's just
straight to the top of the stairs. She's not going to creep like, girl, you fly. What are you doing? You also don't even have to use the door. You could just phase through it or teleport.
I love her phasing. I love her phasing so much.
And then just like the rope falling down of Aeka, like, you thought you could get past my like trap. Just like, these two girls are so good.
She's still got tricks up her sleeves, man. Aeka's great.
And she also establishes right here, really importantly, it's like, I cannot believe you would try to enter his room without knocking.
Mm-hmm.
Which is going to come back in a minute.
So much.
I love this interchange between Ryoko and Aeka about, like, going to sleep with Tenchi, and Ryoko's like, all right, you can go first. And
she's like, I guess that would be good. No. It's not about going first or last. Stop it.
It is so perfect. Like, I have to give a chef's kiss to Ryoko there, because, like, usually a lot of Ryoko's plans are really brute force kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Here, she knows exactly how to play Aeka, and she just totally has her around her little finger, like this whole purity thing of,
in fact, it's like,
go ahead, you go sleep with him then. Oh, you don't want to? Yeah, but aren't you in love with him? It's like, okay, well then I'll go first.
Perfect.
It's perfect.
It's so good.
And then they have their fight in the hallway of just like growling and like wrestling with each other. Gosh, these two are just so good. I'm trying to see, did I forget anything here before?
I think we go straight into the dream.
We go straight into this dream. Sasami's always got these weird dreams going on.
Sasami's fighting for her life in these dreams, man.
She's always like cooking and just like whatever, but like secretly, like Sasami is going through it.
The whole series is kind of like chill and tame in terms of that kind of stuff, and then you get to her dreams, just covered in blood and just like lost, and it's wild.
Falls and snaps her neck or whatever, is like in a pool of blood.
You don't see a table or anything, but you see her head go bam and just completely get knocked out. Oh my god!
Gwen Stacy'd her.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Tenchi reaching out to like help her before suddenly just a giant hand comes and scoops him away. Like, this poor girl is having night terrors.
Yeah, these premonitions, which is interesting because she mentions a name. Like, in that panic, like, no,
what's the name? What
Tataki
name
or Tamaki
Don't take
or something?
him away, Tokimi.
Tokimi?
Who's
but
that?
Then later when Tenchi asked her about it, she's like, by someone I don't know. It's like, whoa, I caught that.
And also her forehead, like, shapes are glowing during this.
Yeah, interesting. To be continued.
Exactly.
But because of these dreams, what happens, Randy?
So Sasami, is crying and walks out and walks past Aeka and Ryoko, who are wrestling. And then they just hear knock, knock. And then Tenchi like, oh, Sasami, what's wrong? Like, I had a bad dream. Well, where's your sister? In the hallway fighting Aeka or with Ryoko. Like,
this entire time, the entire conversation is just a shot of Aeka and Ryoko clenched and like confused, like listening to what's happening, and it's so great. It never cuts away from them, and then all of a sudden you hear Washu's voice in Tenchi's room, like, "Oh, just come and sleep with us." And their faces go like, huh? wait a darn second.
Ryo-Ohki just making her meow sounds like, wait, hold on, everybody's in there.
This is getting crazy.
You have to think Washu, despite everything that happened earlier in this episode, is still playing the card of being like a young girl, so she can get away with something like that.
Trying to take advantage of Tenchi right now because she's like in Tenchi's room, and so it's not anything devious there.
Yeah, well, it was like the whole nurse scene kind of undercuts what I'm about to say. But again, like this is the hoist by their own petard moment, because it is all about Tenchi is being receptive to people who aren't like just in his face about it and are respecting his boundaries, because it's the whole thing about knocking on the door. But it's also because if you remember when Sasami wakes up, it's not Tenchi she calls out for. Mm-hmm. It's her sister, who's not there. She only goes to Tenchi because Aeka's doing this whole combative, competition thing. And also, I never thought about this before until I was watching it this most recent time. But it's like, you can presume, like, why is Washu there? Well, maybe when they sealed off her dimension, they didn't lock her inside. Maybe they locked her out. And so she went to Tenchi because she had nowhere else to go. So everything that happens, they did to themselves. Sasami's only there because of them. Washu's only there because of them. And then what's about to happen happens because of them.
They just try to rush in there, both grab the door, and then immediately teleport to the lake.
And reasonably so, they're panicked, right? They're like, what the heck is going on? And they rush towards the door, don't knock, and they get teleported to the water.
Just love Washu.
You have to knock. You have to respect his boundaries.
They set it
What
up.
was that?
Unless you're getting a sperm sample.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
You can do whatever. It's just two wet fools who forgot to knock. It's like, Washu knows how this works, which I love. And then Ryoko and Aeka both like come out of the water, like slump against each other and fall down.
I love their joint defeated, like, we're idiots. Like, together.
This is the lowest point we could be at. And then the loud sound in the sky. Like, what? I'm like, what is that? And Washu's like, I think that's Mahoshi's spaceship. And Mahoshi just...
Which they also caused to happen.
Yep. Mahoshi's just reading a book as like, we should be applying the reverse brake. Like, oh, it's fine. Like, well, where's the beacon? Oh, they don't have one of those, so I guess I do have to be controlling this. And just Ryoko and Aeka staring up into the sky, realizing what's happening, and then just like the bags under the eyes and psychotically laughing of just
like F my life, man. The way it can't have gotten any worse, and it got worse. That's the laugh they give off, and it's so funny. And it just like amongst the explosion that happens when the ship makes contact with Earth, you still hear the laughs, the maniacal laughter. It's so great.
I almost wonder if in the future in Star Trek they show Tenchi Muyo to people of what not to do going to a pre-warp civilization.
Don't do this.
Well, there is that episode of Voyager where Harry gets a disease, and Janeway talks about there's a 3 centimeter thick book about interspecies relations, and maybe it's this.
No. I'm not there yet, but someday.
Oh dear.
Sorry. but also this was all set up as well, because like you said, the whole thing about there not being many police ships here.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they don't have a beacon.
That's why there's no beacons. Oh my god. I didn't realize that just now. Yeah.
Wow. Internal logic all working as intended. Wow. Who'd have thought that would be, a nice thing and refreshing.
It's a lost art.
Yeah. Only in the 90s could we do this. I had forgotten, because I was like, okay, the ship it just crashed in the mountains. But then we cut to like the morning. The entire house is destroyed except for Washu's door. And it's like they're all just like in sleeping bags in the unit thing where they're regrowing Ryo. And the whole like Ryo-Ohki is like over at the dirt. Aeka freaks out like, no, she's gonna dig out my tree again.
She's trying to get the carrot again like she was earlier.
Mm-hmm. But no, she's just chatting with the little seedling as it's popping out. And
so cute.
It's so adorable. There's one in the dub. It throws me off every time. The delivery of Aeka, like there's no breakup of the vowels or like any of the sounds, just Ryo. I'm like, what? Oh, okay. Oh, Ryo. But it was just like one long sound.
We got the take. You're done for the day. You're good.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, makes sense. I just woke up and like I just saw this very sweet, cute thing. I also might not be able to.
Washu's door still being there, I like to think that it was they had to like lift that thing back up and like activate it again. I don't want to imagine that it hit the house and that's still standing. I mean,
I was thinking it was like special Washu, sturdy construction. It's science.
Maybe,
it's science.
You're using the force field that they had used to keep the door locked.
Oh.
I started talking. I saw Ken immediately point like, I just thought about it too. We share brains. And that's
Where's Nobuyuki?
He's not here. He hasn't been here at all.
His entire manga collection is destroyed.
He's gone. Oh no!
No, actually, there is an explanation. There is an explanation for that. What Ken was asking. Because this actually is different in the TV series. In the TV series, is brought up a lot that Nobuyuki lives in the house and he commutes to work every day. But in the OVAs, and this was said like in background information, but it comes up in the third OVA explicitly, is that Nobuyuki moved back into the city. He did not stay when the house was moved. He got his own place so he can go to work, and he does not live there anymore. And Mihoshi actually lives in his room.
Okay. Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, I remembered him still living in Tokyo in OVA 3, but I was like, well, he commutes. Maybe he's just out for the week, and he just comes back for the weekends or whatever, but that makes sense.
Was Yosho in that last scene, too? In the sleeping
Well, he lives in his own house up on the mountain.
Oh, he does? Okay.
Where he can
Still
pick up his
safe from the-
table
from
and
the
get
blast
closer to
radius?
phone. He's freaking Yosho, Doug. You think he's going to get hurt by
This still
a ship
blows my mind that
crashing?
he's Yosho of all characters. Like, what?
He's the
I mean,
coolest
frankly, I
guy.
don't know how any of the rest of them survived that, but
I guess Washu was awake and knew it was coming, so she must have did something to... All right, let's all go in the bunker.
or
didn't get-
Tenchi's Lighthawk wings came back.
Or we'd missed the scene where they're all in like this floating bubble thing with the two logs around them as they're regenerating.
All right.
Tsunami, just
So
like,
you're saying they all
Tsunami
died?
grows all their legs back.
yeah, everybody lost their legs.
I'm no ghost.
Lost their legs, but they did not lose their logs.
Exactly. The most flammable things. They're still there. We didn't get a next episode preview at the end of this one like we have all the others, which makes sense. We've got another 9 months to go. Or no, it had been 9 months, and then we've got some more time before
Till
OVA
March or
2
whatever.
comes. Right.
And then this is not really a spoiler at this point, but it's like they do get a new house after this, and it does have some differences in the layout compared to the
Cool.
house in the first series.
Not a thing I ever noticed. I always figured it was the exact same. I didn't know that there was a change.
As long as that wood beam is still up there for Ryoko to chill on with the pillow, I'm happy.
There is
Yes.
there is a lot
Hell
of
yeah.
there's a lot of log laying.
A lot of wood to lay on.
I'm gonna be quiet now. Gotta stop here.
It's just so good. And I know that we came in temperature check. This is a great episode. But looking back and talking about all of it, gosh, what a good one. You know, what a great
So
little
good.
interstitial.
Going forward, we get to become pioneers.
That's
So
true.
truly.
Gosh,
Yes.
OVA 2's opening is so good.
Is it a
like I love.
Pioneer pun?
Well, it's very funny because it's Pioneer put it out here in America, but the opening song of OVA 2 is called is it We Are Pioneers or I'm a Pioneer? There we go.
I don't have my disc handy.
Yeah, I think it's I'm a pioneer because in Japanese it's Boku.
Okay, makes sense. But whew, man, that's a good one. We've been talking for an hour 45 minutes about one episode, and I don't regret it at all. It's
Not
so good.
at all. Guys, if you don't watch Tenchi, please watch Tenchi. This is good stuff, man. This is great. I'm so glad we did this rewatch.
Doug is
100%.
saying it. That means that he means it. That this is very, very good and definitely worth your time. And thankfully, some people have been watching along with us, and it's been a whole lot of fun
Randy,
doing that. And
I'm sorry. We got to talk about what was going on in the world of Dragon Ball
oh gosh,
Oh, no.
how could
and
I
the
try
Backstreet
to?
Boys.
1994. I'll do my research real quick.
Yeah. All right. So January 26th or January 25th, 1994, which is when this episode came out, viewers were also treated to an issue of Weekly Shonen Jump in which chapter 455 of the Boo arc. So it's been a big, 9 months you said since the last episode? So we're in the Boo arc now. And we have got Gohan versus Dabra. Is Gohan Super Saiyan? Is he Super Saiyan 2? This is the chapter where questions are raised. Age-old questions. And in the anime, we've got episode 214 airing on January 26th, which is the matchups are decided. Hurry and hold the first round. So, man, it's always crazy to do this part of this Tenchi show, then bring up another anime and go, God, they were so close chasing the manga where it was at the time.
Yeah, not very far away from each other at all. That's bonkers. Okay, Doug, fill us in on the real good stuff. What was going on with the Backstreet Boys?
In 1994, the Backstreet Boys finally signed with Jive Records and released their first record deal. They debuted the single We've Got It Going On. And, fun tidbit, the group's name comes from Backstreet Market, a popular teen hangout in Orlando. So now you know.
I never knew that.
I did
You're
not know
welcome.
that either.
We've been doing this for almost 2 hours just so that we could learn where the Backstreet Boys got their name.
If we can trust AI that I just quickly typed in and found out, then yeah, that's where
Oh
they come from.
no! Oh no!
This fun teen hangout in Orlando. Yeah, okay. Now I'm not too sure about that. Really wanted to give a quick shout out here to the Skeet that Ken put out asking for people's feedback. We had Jacob Sawyer who says the harem vibe is pretty strong in this one. Hilarious episode and nicely does a lot of development for the characters. And all of that lore Ken brought up. Man, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here talking about how the Galaxy Police work for everything like that. Ryo-Ohki is secretly a bunch of crystals at the bottom of a lake. You never know that until you saw this episode. You're learning all sorts of stuff.
I'm also like, I also forgot that like when Mahoshi was like, you need to get permission from the Jirai. It's like, oh, Yosho? No, I forgot Tenchi. Duh, is the Jirai.
He just said, please come back, you know?
Yeah.
That's permission. That counts. So we've come to the end of this. We got to tell people what to watch, what to be ready for. I think we have to do the Mahoshi special, guys. And
Okay.
Say less.
But Daughter of Darkness. Chasing
Keep it in the
that.
back pocket.
I hope you guys just do as many things as you possibly can because I am so excited to listen to it.
Aw, geez, that makes me feel so happy that I'm glad that we did this. I'm glad that Ken was like, you know what? I'm kind of getting an itch that I want to rewatch some Tenchi. Could we make this content? And I'm like, yeah, sure.
How did this come about? From Tenchi, like to watch Tenchi again anyway?
Because Ken wanted to.
After we did the Ava movies, that was so fun doing something not Dragon Ball. And just in the way that Ava saved our lives, finishing off GT, Tenchi has kind of saved us from a certain unnamed Dragon Ball series that's currently airing.
So, yeah, that's how it came about. And I'm glad that you're liking it. It seems to be people are enjoying listening, watching, however they're consuming it. You know, whether it's a first-time watch or, you know, being like, hey, this is a thing I watched a long time ago. I'll revisit it. You know, it seems to just be a good time for everybody just to like chill and just enjoy some good old 90s anime, which, you know, it's just nice to have.
It's great.
So,
super short.
Yeah, exactly. But we got to take a bit of a break and then we're going to come back and do live-ish episodes for Tenchi. We're going to still do the regular stuff for Dragon Ball, but since this is a bonus series and we want to do it, this was kind of the way that we kind of figured that we could continue to do it without it being a drain on our life. So.
And when Randy says live-ish, it may very well turn out that we do those live. We'll see.
Yeah.
I've got the graphics ready.
Yeah. Jeez. We'll have conversations BTS about how that we're going to exactly handle this.
I love that band.
Well, they're gone now.
Randy, if we do it live, it means we can enable super chats.
Ooh.
So there you go.
Okay.
There's your incentive to do
That's
it
true.
live.
What do you mean BTS is gone? They're not a band anymore?
Yeah, they have to do their military service.
Yeah, they're rotating
We'll talk later. This is wrinkling my brain.
All right. Well, anyway, thanks for listening. We love interacting with you and keeping in the conversation, talking about one of our favorite franchises in the world. And you can post at us on our Blue Sky. We keep it easy at wegotapodcast.com. You can email us at wegotapod@gmail.com. Lance, thank you again for joining us. It's always such a pleasure.
Great to have you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. I was so excited to do this. You have no idea.
Oh, it means a lot. It means a lot to me. And it's, you know, you're a great friend. It's always just good to hang out and to talk with you. But, you know, what do you got going on? What do you have out that you want people to see or to experience? Or do you have anything, you know, in the pipeline that you're excited to share with people?
Oh, well, if anybody listening does not know, I have my YouTube channel at MistareFusion, MistareFusion, MistareFusion. And I'm continuing to do a series, Dragon Ball Dissection, which once upon a time, last time I was on your show, we were at the same point in the franchise, which was Dragon Ball GT, but you have since zoomed far, far ahead of me. I only just finished GT at the end of this past year. So now I am trying to do like an interregnum period between GT and Super. Although first my first one this year, I'm going way back to before the beginning. So I just finished a Dragon Ball Dissection video on the two Dragon Ball prototypes, Dragon Boy and the Adventure of Tongpu. So hopefully people will enjoy that. And in addition to that, if you like things like Super Sentai or Power Rangers, for the past few years I've been doing a series called Mighty Morphin Zyurangers. Thank you, Ken. I was hoping you would show off your lovely collection.
Oh, we all have.
I've been doing a series called Mighty Morphin Zyurangers, where I compare, where I was comparing Zyuranger to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and now I am back after taking a year off to do a new series called Ozio, which is comparing Choriki Sentai O-Ranger to Power Rangers Zio. Yes, that guy. That guy's in the show.
Wow.
The show that I'm reviewing. And the first episode of that just came out a few weeks ago. Well, actually, no, last week, publicly. And I'm working on the second one right now.
Heck,
It's
Awesome.
so good. Honestly, legitimately, I love Dragon Ball Dissection. I might have liked Mighty Morphin Zyuranger more. I don't know. Because
Right.
it reinvigorated me. And again, I blame you for this. It reinvigorated me
That's fair.
as a Power Rangers fan, leading to me to like go start buying stuff like this, you know. And I'm holding up my Master Morpher, Tommy's Master Morpher.
So beautiful. Is that gold plated? Real gold?
No, fully folded.
Is it solid gold? Is this worth tens of thousands of dollars?
Yeah.
Does it actually morph you?
It must. Yeah.
Yeah. And I did watch the first episode that you put out of the Zio one, and it is equally fantastic, possibly if not more, because I'm so unfamiliar with Zio and with O-Ranger, right? And it's like getting to true, because I've said this before, I wasn't allowed to watch Power Rangers like once Zed showed up. So I have very limited knowledge after a certain point. So it's like I get to watch Zio without having to watch it.
Oh yeah. That's always the best part.
Well, it's like that for me too, because I had never seen Zio or O-Ranger before this. So it was a new experience for me too. And also, we're even now, Ken, because you can totally blame me for getting you back into Power Rangers, because again, this got me back into Tenchi for all the good and all the ill. But mostly I've really enjoyed getting to see this again.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Oh, man.
Who is next to? Who do you have next to?
That's I've got Ryoko here.
His eBay find.
Oh, it is Ryoko.
Yeah.
That's a good Ryoko figure.
That's what I'm saying, from 2000.
It's okay. $20 on eBay. Not bad.
It can be yours.
You could have made an offer for 15, but you decided 20. It was good.
Yeah.
I'll buy
I
it.
wanted it that bad. Yeah.
I get it. Maybe did McFarlane do an Aeka figure, or is it just Ryoko?
No, but I do have that little chibi Aeka.
Right. Those universe figures.
Nendoroids get on that.
I grew up
Tenchi
with those same figures. In fact, I gave them away to my friend last summer. But I had all those too.
Nice.
I think I tossed them like 2 moves ago, which
Along with that
sorry.
cell that you have. Like, yeah, I have a history.
the cell, the Ryoko cell has to be somewhere, and it might even be in this drawer in a folder. I'm notoriously bad at organizing my stuff, so it is what it is. But Doug, sorry, Ken.
No, go ahead.
What do you got?
I was going to say,
No.
with how cheap this figure was, I'm like, do I want to go look at Tenchi cells and probably get like a killer deal right now?
Dude, maybe, yeah. I mean, at most $500, right? For like a really good one.
My friend Jared, who I did the Utena podcast with, was on a trip to Japan a number of years ago. God, we're old, but I can't remember how long ago it was. But he had, bought some souvenirs, and he got me just a Tenchi cell of Ryoko in, like, I think it's the blue and teal, like, striped outfit. But she's like in the mid-ground, and it's very small, but like, it's cool looking. It's neat. So I'll see if I can track that down at some point and share a photo or whatever. But yeah, we're all just helping each other spend money on things, and it's not a problem. It's great. I like it.
I'm out of space. I'm done.
Well, you'll find a place, Doug. You'll buy a house just for your things, and it'll be great. Anyway, Doug, where can people find you?
You find me at Drbaz Doug.
Oh, good. Ken, what about you?
Everywhere.
At Detective X. Everywhere.
Good, great. You can find me at Saberbreaker, sometimes everywhere. Sometimes there's an underscore in between the 2 words, but that is what it is. And Lance, besides just your YouTube, is there anywhere else you want people to be looking for you?
It's at MistareFusion, and I'm there on the blue skies and somewhat still on the Twitter, but, and also on the Facebook. Not everywhere, but I'm a few places.
There you go. You could just do a little search, and we could find something cool that you've done. Well, this is cool. Ken, do you want to light hawk wing this part?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and take us out. So thank you for joining us on the final highly produced episode of our Tenchi reviews. The rest won't be, might be direct Discord audio going forward from that. But we really appreciate you guys taking the journey with us. There is still a lot of Tenchi left to cover. So Lance, maybe you'll have to come back more than a few times and join us on a few things going forward. So
OVA 4!
There's still that hentai.
Yeah.
It would be a good catharsis.
Oh, yeah.
Commiserating together.
Again, guys, thank you all for listening to this show. Like, subscribe, comment, and all that stuff. And maybe next time, super chat. I don't know. I don't really even know what all that entails yet. But we'll find out at some point. And without catch you, Matanea.
Bye.
See ya.